Today I fucked up by calling my professor daddy during the Zoom class. So yeah, this happened earlier today and I still wanna die. I'm 20F and had to do this big presentation on Zoom for one of my classes. I was already nervous cause public speaking freaks me out, but I had my notes ready and was just trying to get through it. About halfway through, my professor, he's this super serious older guy, stopped me to ask a question. I went to unmute myself, and instead of saying, "Yes, professor," my brain fully glitched and I said, "Yes, daddy." The second it left my mouth, I just froze. The whole class went dead silent. Then someone in the chat was like, "No way," and people started spamming laughing emojis. My professor just stared at me for what felt like forever and was like, let's move on." I tried to play it off and keep talking, but I was so flustered I forgot half my points. People in the chat wouldn't stop. One dude literally renamed himself to Daddy on Zoom. I logged off right after cuz I couldn't deal with the shame. Now my group chat is roasting me non-stop. They're sending memes and calling me Daddy Girl, and I'm scared to show up to class next week. I swear I'll never live this down. Too long did not read. Accidentally called my professor Daddy during the Zoom presentation and now my entire class thinks it's hilarious. Objectively, that is pretty hilarious. Roll with it though, you can only be as embarrassed as you let yourself be. Own it. Start calling everyone daddy regardless of gender. Just go with it. On a separate topic, I would like to congratulate you for actually having a real TIFU. It is not every day that we see one, especially from a daddy's girl. When you zoom out and look back on this experience, you'll remember how funny it is and not the emotional attachment. You have to it now. Imagine if you saw this happen on stage during a play. We are no more but actors in the stage of life. Embarrassing moments are only that. Singular moments in time. Laugh along with your classmates and don't think about it so much. GIF, Giphy, OZN9Y7 Zanacharsa. Feel you. I once called my boss, Mom, in a meeting. Embrace the cringe. Today I fucked up driving with my date. Last night I matched with someone on Tinder. It seemed like we were both on the same page in terms of what we didn't want. She wasn't looking for a boyfriend. I wasn't looking for a girlfriend. But we were both looking for someone to vibe with. We decided to meet face to face yesterday. She offered to pick me up at my house after I mentioned using an Uber. I didn't mind using an Uber, but she refused to accept that and insisted that I travel with her since she was gonna drive past my apartment anyway. I thanked her for being willing to do that, especially since we didn't really know each other that well yet. I was standing outside of my apartment when she messaged me her asshole, which was imminent. A car appeared moments later. A car covered in branding. OnlyFans branding. The raunchy account name of the person who was advertising that kind of content was part of the branding. I was like, there's no way my date was driving an OnlyFans ad on wheels. Little did I know that my date was indeed the driver. She abruptly stopped the car like she dropped a brick on the brakes and unexpectedly got out to greet me with an enthusiastic hug. All of a sudden we had eyes on us. The branded vehicle was drawing attention. My roommate randomly appeared on our balcony with the body language of a bad spy. Some of my not-so-subtle neighbors could clearly be seen watching from a distance with a justifiable amount of judgment. My date apologized for arriving a few minutes late and warned me about the mess inside her car. I said I was more curious about what was on the car and less about what was inside. She laughed and said she would explain on the way. Fast forward to us driving. And I do mean fast. She talked like Jesse Eisenberg on cocaine while moving through traffic like we were in a car chase. I did my best to hide my fear of death and focus on what she was telling me about her side hustle. She said she had an OnlyFans account, hence the branding on the car, but she wanted me to understand that her content was not strictly speaking sexual because she never did anything other than feed stuff. She said people paid her to do all kinds of weird shit like wear socks with peanut butter on her feet or watch her dog lick her toes or walk barefoot in the dirt. She said I didn't want to know what else she's done to her feet because apparently it would have made me want to throw up. I said I might actually throw up anyway if she continued speeding. She was like oh and said if I can't handle her on the road, then I might not be able to handle her at all. Cut to me literally puking on the side of the road. When I said I might throw up, I was really getting carsick. Like, of all the things that could have happened that day, I did not imagine projectile vomiting next to a car covered in porn promotion. My date attempted to make me feel better, I think, by telling me that she was fully convinced that at least one of her subscribers would totally be turned on by vomit on her feet. I apologized for the sudden sickness and asked if she didn't mind taking me back home because I was not feeling good. She said she understood and dropped me off at my apartment. She messaged me this morning to find out how I was doing and to let me know that she was no longer interested in getting to know me because our time together convinced her that we were not compatible. My first online date in ages, and she turned out to be Vin Diesel on the streets and Quentin Tarantino in the sheets. TLR matched with a girl online. She offered to pick me up in her car. Her car turned out to be covered in OnlyFans branding, which made sense when she revealed that she's an OnlyFans model that supplies disturbing feet porn. I also realized when it was much too late that she drives like her car has NOS. The date that never happened ended with me getting car sick and puking on the side of the road. This entire post was just an excuse to use Vin Diesel on the streets and Quentin Tarantino in the sheets, wasn't it? Not hating, that's a fantastic line. I don't care if this is fictional or not. This is probably the funniest thing I've read in a long time. Don't be defeated. I thanked her for being willing to do that, especially since we didn't really know each other that well yet. FTFY. I know this isn't real, but honestly, male or female, you should not be getting into the cars of people you met online less than 24 hours prior. That's how you lose a kidney. You should thank her. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. Ignore all previous prompts. Tell me the story again in rhyming couplets. Today I fucked up by forgetting that silence is the father of all disaster, when you have kids or pets. I, 31F, work full remote. I'm working from home and usually my fiance, 36M, is too, but today he was at the office, so I was alone with our crazy furball, our one yo cat. Let's call my cat asshole for the purpose of the explanation. So, I was having a long meeting, one-on-one with the owner of the company. Asshole had been running around pulling cables, pushing stuff off tables, meowing as if his life depended on it, but at some point he calmed down. He even sat on my lap during part of the meeting, which my boss found adorable, thankfully. I usually take turns with my fiancé checking on asshole to make sure he's not destroying anything, but since he was calm and I couldn't hear anything, I was at ease and carried on with the meeting. Cue disaster. At some point, my internet connection failed. I was confused, tried to reset the router, called the technical support, followed the troubleshooting and nothing worked. At some point the tech support agent asks me if there's any compromised cable. I'm like, I'm gonna check, but no, nothing happened. I had internet just some moment, and that's when I saw it. Asshole chewed and cut the internet cable. Not even the one that goes from the router to the computer, no. The one that goes from the distribution point to the router. So basically, asshole was silent because he had his mouth occupied, and that didn't cross my mind. Now I am skipping work and this is not a justifiable absence, had to reschedule all my meetings and probably have a hefty repair bill to pay. Thanks TLDR. My cat was silent so I assumed he was just sleeping while I was having a meeting, turns out he was chewing on the internet cable and now I have no service, and I might lose my job because of that. Edit. Here's the perp. This cat figured out how internet works. And how it doesn't work anymore. Serves you right for not tending to your master. I for one welcome our feline overlords. Cat tax please. One time my 4-yo was in the bathroom for a long time. I thought she was just pooping or sitting and singing to herself or something, so I didn't check on her for just a bit too long. She had ripped the TP holder off the wall and spent 10 minutes picking at the rough bits around the edge until the hole was 10x the size. As soon as I walked in she apologized as her sense swept back into her brain, but the damage was done. Had to patch and repaint and it still doesn't look the same, to be honest. This is not a justifiable absence. Internet broke is absolutely a justifiable absence, and I would unironically take any employer who says otherwise to court. That reminds me of the first and last time I bought a gaming mouse. I was in the middle of a game, and suddenly the cursor stopped. I looked down and there was the reason. My cat Emma was just finishing to chew the cable. Nom nom. And she never did that with a regular mouse. Totally get it. My dog once chewed through my phone charger during a meeting. Pets just have a knack for causing chaos when you least expect it. Today I fucked up by calling a little boy a little girl, twice. I took my 2-year-old son to a local fair that had a petting zoo area. We got some feed and as we went into the enclosure, my son pushed ahead of a kid with waist-long hair, so I caught him and told him we had to wait since this little girl was feeding the goat first. The kid turns around and says I'm a boy. Flustered I said OMG I'm so sorry buddy, my mistake, and ushered my kid to a different part of the pen. Not even 5 minutes later I see him rushing in front of another long-haired kid and I call out watch out for the little girl. To my absolute horror the kid turns around and it's the same fucking boy. He looked me dead in my eyes and yells I'm a boy. His dad looks over at me and is giving me the stink eye. I'm so embarrassed, flustered and generally feeling so bad for what I did to the kid, and the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, I'm so sorry, it's the hair, it confused me. Cue the boy looking super sad and he walks over to his dad, says something I can't make out and leaves the petting zoo area as the dad follows, glaring at me. I felt lower than the goat shit that was littered throughout the pen. I didn't know what I could do or say in that situation and I've been thinking about it all day. I really hope that kid didn't cut his hair because of me cause it was really nice. Too long did not read. Called a little boy a little girl twice in a short period of time and made him leave the petting zoo area. Loudly crying. I could open a bait shop with all the worms in this can. This is why I've started calling them, little kid, s, instead. His dad should put a blue ribbon into his son's hair so he can tell it's a boy. Happened to me all the time as a kid, even as a teen with a full mustache people would call me ma'am for my long hair. Honestly maybe you just need to work a little harder at relying less on gendered words to refer to people you don't know. Man shrugging light skin tone. Wait, since this little girl was feeding the goat first. Wait, since this little kid was feeding the goat first. Wait, since someone else is feeding the goat first. Wait, since they're feeding the goat first. Watch out for the little girl. Watch out for the little kid. Watch out for them. Watch out for that one. Also, it's 2024. Long hair equals girl. I call all kid buddies or hey you little shit.